All right. For some outlandish in-law extroverted uh investigatory blues slash other genre, Mark is gonna play some theme music. Come closer, child. Have a good podcast. See you later. See you later. Thank you, Mark.
Bye, friends.
So, first things first. Waterfall. Righto. So, I'm in Athens and a little drunk, just a little bit. Pretty tired, very sunburnt. Look at that. Oh my God. Oh, that's nothing even. Oh, it could have been much worse, but at least my head's not too insanely messed up. But so just gonna ramble for like, I don't know, X amount of minutes. And you know, if you're in for a bit of a rendezvous, hey, sweet. At a minimum, it's me, myself, and I, God, the spirit of Athens, the Acropolis. I was talking to the Acropolis. So like, may you be well and happy, Acropolis. Meditating under a tree on top of it with Mark, my brother, um, who's just hit you up some questionably genred music. Um, and yeah, like felt like it's connected to the energy of the Acropolis. So I'm sure it's with us now. Um, so yeah, it's very hot. How are you? Are you feeling very hot? Oh, really? Oh my God. Okay, too much. Don't tell me. Like, delay the gratification here. Okay. But I hope you're having a hot experience in the good way and cooler experience in the good way. Um, but then again, should you be only having good experiences, or is it all a mix? No sweet without sour. Like, I don't know. You if you're always eating cake, then it kind of loses its appeal. But then if you're eating cake every now and then, it's got enormous appeal. Or if you just eat, you don't really like vegetables. Or you say water, people, water. People get bored, or they don't like. I don't like water. But then drink like Coca-Cola. Well, maybe people can just drink that for years. But say you go running something, and then you're like dying of thirst, and you want nothing but well, you'll have any drink, but water. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to choose water if there's an option. It's just the body's like, okay, idiot, drink that. But so, or maybe yeah, if you just drank Coca-Cola for long enough, I'm sure you would want water, and it would be much more satisfying. But so yeah, positive, negative experiences. I've been thinking a lot while traveling, uh, and about purpose and happiness and just life, I guess, moving around and what's the point of this and that. And I think to give you a short uh lowdown on what I'm thinking, it's kind of like it's good to have purpose in general, like my purpose is to create art, like I write stuff and hoping to have that published and hoping to have some form of readership where people enjoy it and they'll receive that, and then I can, you know, have some sort of role there of making people happy and provoking them to think about things that I think are interesting or whatever that I've been provoked to think about or whatever. Or and so there's that, and then just being a good person, having sharing love, have a family one day, or like just have a cool experience, um, and maybe make the world a bit of a better place, and expand consciousness, help love and consciousness, truth, awareness of what's what, kind of blossom. So I've got these like ideas of my purpose, or your purpose might be like you want to, you know, um, be like really the best at something. You want to really be very competitive as an athlete or something, or you want to like be the first person to, you know, marry like a brick wall, and like these beautiful bricks behind me, which are probably quite old, but still looking pretty good bricks, looking pretty attractive for 300-year-old bricks or however old they are. But whatever it is, whether you want to be like hold the record for the number of sandals that you can hold in your arm at any one time, or the record for fastest bicycle race in the snow, or worst analogy in a sweaty Athenian um, podcast episode, whatever it is, I'm sure you're going to do it. It's all going to work out great. What was my point? Yeah, to have a purpose is good. I think it gives you direction and structure. It's like, everything's yin and yang, balance. So it's good to have, if you're just like eating ice cream and just having fun all day, it gets pretty boring, But then if you're working all day and you're not like having any fun, then that also gets boring. So I think we just need balance. And so it's good to have a structure, and then, just some balance in general, but in your life, like to have that structure of a purpose that you're moving towards. And then also to have balance that with spontaneity. I think that's probably the way to do it. And so I've been thinking like it's like good to have that purpose in general, but in the moment, I'm in the habit of being like, okay, what am I doing? What's next? What's this? And trying to like have the best possible experience and expression. And for me, but then maybe even for other people, that I'm with or whatever. And so that can get kind of tiring, kind of like you got this restless energy of like, what's next? What's next? What do I do now? Or I want this to happen. How do I make it happen? How do I avoid that happening? Oh my God, I'm sweating in this shirt. Do you see this? Do you see the evidence of the heat? Good Lord. But, and so, or being like, okay, I'm traveling. Okay, here I am doing, go here. What's next? Oh, I did that already. What about, what do I do now? What should I do? And, there's cool stuff happening all around you. And, I'm in Athens and that's very interesting. Some bits are pretty rundown and grungy, but there's a lot of really beautiful, like old architecture, and people have been very interesting and cool. And so, there's lots of stuff to do. You could distract yourself if you wanted, but it's like, okay, what now? And there's that kind of restless energy. And I've kind of been realizing is like, just like nothing. There's no purpose. Just have no purpose is I think what I want to do at least. Like, I'm just here I am in the moment. And like, okay, I'll just do whatever I'm doing. And like, there's no need for some overarching purpose, or even like you're talking to someone, say, in theory, you're like talking to some beautiful, say for me, a woman, right? Someone like who you're attracted to. And you're, oh, I want it to go this way, or like, oh, that would be nice. Or yeah, I have this, it would be, you have preferences of how you would like to appear, or what you'd like them to say or to do, or the way you'd like them to, whatever, and it could be for anything. It could be talking to a friend, could be talking to your family, to a stranger, whatever. But you've got these expectations and these desires, and yeah, right? Okay, cool. So I'll end the podcast. Very good. No, maybe you don't know what I'm thinking. But like just to let go of it and just be like, for one thing, you end up getting what you want usually if you just let go. And you're like, yeah, whatever. I don't, is this woman into me or whatever? Like, yeah, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Right. And you're just there, just listening, you're talking. Yeah, okay, right. And then usually, like, okay, you're very calm, you're paying attention, You don't seem to be needy or like trying to get any particular outcome. That's kind of interesting. That kind of is gravitates people to, or even like or predisposes them well to you. Anything like you're talking to your boss or you're talking to your worker or whatever, and you haven't got those expectations, and your colleague, whatever, anyone talking to your cat, and you just interact, and you okay, and spontaneous. You've got no plan, and then just talking. Yeah, yeah. Bing, idea comes. Hey, what about this? Blah blah blah. And you say something, or you do something, or you show. Yeah, you know, somehow there's some sort of activity comes through you, and it's kind of perfectly set for the situation, because it was born from that situation. There's nothing else there. It's just the situation, and then it popped up. And so that's kind of what I've been doing a bit, just like kind of aimlessly, just like wandering around, just letting things kind of take care of themselves. It's pretty fun. And except there's like, me and my twin doing it, so it's kind of somewhat cosmic. Some strange things have been happening. Potentially met Klaus Schwab at the airport, and all kinds of madness. What else? But yeah, so I think the just yeah, not really having a purpose in mind. I guess it's okay to have it to some extent, but like, okay, here I am drinking my coffee, and like we finish the coffee. It's okay, what now? Oh yeah, I don't know. Well, okay, I guess, yeah, why don't I think of something? All right, let's go to the park. All right, let's go to the park. You go into the park, you see, oh, let's go there instead. Whatever, like there's no real need for some general overarching thing, or like this podcast. I was like, oh, I'll just talk about travel or whatever. It all kind of just happens. But as you can probably notice, but so that purposelessness, but then that ends up, you often get what you want anyway, because you're in a kind of a Zen, aligned with life frame of mind, where you're not really worrying about things, you're not overthinking stuff, you're just in the moment. Also, it's very much more relaxing for you, because you don't need to like, it's just such a weight off your shoulders just to like not need to be thinking like about, or positioning yourself, or trying to like, it's kind of strange, because it's almost like in a way you're less involved in life, you're just letting it happen. But then that's the way that you can really get intimate with life and really get into it, and do things. You'll be more comfortable to do things you might otherwise be like, oh, or you might be, just too busy thinking to even notice that the door was open, or too busy. Yeah, that would be it. So that's been a big lesson. That is ongoing. And what else? Yeah, and then good and bad. Right? I was talking about like, I hope you're having a good experience. Well, why do I hope you're having a good experience? I guess that's kind of founded upon some belief I used to have of that, like, life is temporary and then it ends, and then, well, it's better to have, happy experiences, more joy. But then I think that's probably more just based upon animal instinct, like preferring, or what, and extrapolated onto like human like instinct, like these mammalian brains, but we're still based upon like approach and withdraw mechanisms, which reptiles have and all that. But like when we've got the thinking thing as well as the mammalian thing, and so we're like always like about, what do I want, what do I not want, pain and pleasure. But ultimately, like a lot of really good things that happen to you, they can come through bad things. It's like, you well, for one thing, like you have break your leg. Oh, the story, like, a little boy gets a horse for his birthday. Everyone's like, oh, how wonderful. Like, oh yeah. And the Zen master's like, yeah, well, we'll see. And then the boy, breaks his leg on the horse, and everyone's like, oh, how terrible. Zen master's like, yeah, we'll see. And then the army comes in. Maybe he's not such a little boy. Maybe he's like a young man. The army comes in to recruit, conscript people for the war. One of them's got a broken leg. He can't get conscripted, so he doesn't end up going up to this war and getting slaughtered. Everyone's like, oh, how lucky, how fortunate. Zen master says, we'll see. Goes on and on. So we don't really know the full context because, you know, the future's it hasn't really been decided yet, or not that we know of anyway. And perhaps it has to some extent, but or completely, who knows? But that things can happen which seem bad, but then there's exactly what you needed to set up some situation or experience. It could be experience something where you get something positive, or it could just be something that teaches you something, like a lesson, which you could call like a positive thing, you know, like so oh, I needed to have this problem, needed to meet this bad person, and you know, it sent me down a bad path for a few years, but then I got out of it. And you know, I could say, oh, I regret that, that was a bad thing, but then I wouldn't be who I am now, and I'm a wiser, stronger person because of it. And if you're not yet, if you're like a shell of a person, of, you know, and you're like all fucked up, you know, then the thing is you can, and if you focus on it, you will get better and you will be your strongest ever self. So it's like redemption is just waiting, you know. But yeah, so you know, that's another thing where it's like, you know, oh, should we just have good experiences? Well, bad experiences help you so much as well. And then what's the point of it all? Is it even then it's like they help you or they make you wiser, they make you learn stuff. But then why do we want to, why do we even want to do these things? You know, I guess that touches a little bit on nihilism, which we kind of talked about in the first episode of this podcast, but like, you know, what's the point of doing things? And I guess there's a few answers, but I think whatever they are, you know, no smoke without fire. Everything points towards be a good person, enjoy yourself, do what feels right, what instinctively feels right to you, you know? In general, almost always that's going to be the right thing to do. Some people, you know, they're off kilter, their thoughts are kind of messed up, their instincts are all, they don't know what their conscience is. They think, you know, oh, my conscience is telling me to, you know, round people up and put them in prison. Maybe not, you know, but in general, that's, you know, for you, almost certainly that's the right advice, you know. Do what feels right, listen to your conscience. Enjoy life, be a good person. So, and yet there are, you know, like, why should we do these things, and what exactly is the benefit of like good experiences and bad experiences? And it's kind of like, I mean, why are we living? I mean, I guess you could say to learn, or you could say to have fun, or to share love, or to create things. So I guess there's so many reasons, but just been from what I've been talking to my brother about just now, kind of thinking about the nature of evil, and if everything's a dream, then you know it's all just God. This God was like, all right, we're going to create a universe, and we're going to God's like Queen. The Queen says, "We are going to create a universe, and it's all good. Well, we are going to give them free will, so we are, and well, quite. We shall see. Let them go, and they have the capacity for good and for evil, and we shall see if their egos get out of control. They will cause evil. They have the ability to go blind into ignorance and fear, and you know, they could also go further into wakefulness and love, you know. And so we'll let them go, and they will interact in ways we cannot predict the predictions of thereof. Well, oh boy, and in the end, they will find their way to wakefulness and love, because that is the reality of all things, is it not? Fear and ego, separation, these things. This is the shadow of the sun, old boy. This is not real. It's nothing more than a dream. So they'll find their way home, and we shall be watching. So we will. I like how the king/queen is kind of Irish. So we will. Do they say that in England? I don't know. Anyway, so seems like potentially my sources, apparently Einstein and Darwin, they found secret letters they had written, um and they've just uncovered them. And also this has prompted certain people like what's his name, Stephen Hawkins, who was dead, but they also found his letters. And what's the guy, owl eyebrows? Um, Dawkins, Christopher Dawkins, not Christopher, that's Hitchens. What's it? Richard Dawkins. Yeah. So they found he was like, yeah, oh my God, I had a letter I was saving for my deathbed, but they all found all these letters where they're all saying there's irrefutable proof, A, that what I'm saying is not true, but I think they're being ironic about that. And then B, that God created the universe from within itself of pure consciousness to experience this sort of dream state of individuated consciousness and free will, which could interact with yin and yang of light and darkness, like wakefulness and sleep, like zombie or dream state, just selfish, all-consuming, dominate, no awareness, just whatever allows you to grow, basically, or to or I guess a more limited awareness, this selfishness, this identification with part rather than the whole. And so you're so concerned about expanding the power of that little part and so terrified of it shrinking and perhaps shrinking into nothingness and dying. And then that basically there's this plan to the universe, and then that perhaps the exact manner of how it's going to be accomplished is not all spelt out, but that the end, the beginning, the end, and certain milestones along the way, certain big plot twists or whatever, are fixed, and perhaps are they fixed within our lives? Are they just fixed within the life of the world? Like, oh, the dinosaurs are going to get whacked at a certain point and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think you might think, oh, it's totally impossible. It's ridiculous. But, well, I don't know. There's a lot we don't know. So it could be countless mechanisms which could actually make these things possible. And we just don't know those mechanisms. So like, we really don't know. But potentially, like you could say like a song. And again, this is like I'm talking to my brother, and we're, just like thinking, whatever. So just thought I'd share this because it's on my mind. But I thought it's kind of, perhaps you could say it's like music, like you're playing a song, and you know how the song goes, the chord changes, the sections, verse, chorus, verse, or whatever, bridge, whatever. And the hooks or the melodies or whatever. But you could change a lot within that. You could change the time signature, you could change like the the kind of way you're playing the notes, or like change certain chords maybe, but keep the overall kind of general gist of it. You could like change the words a bit, whatever, so many little details, ways where you could you're still going through the overall structure of it where it's recognizable, but there's improvisation involved. And so perhaps that's what we're doing with life. But either way, I mean, I've been kind of thinking like, what's the motivation for us to fight evil, and more importantly to grow love, to encourage love and goodness, and I think I kind of talked about that in that in the evil episode. What was that, 13? Lucky number 13, evil and evolution, and in episode 1 or whatever. But like, so I think there's pretty simple reasons, but I'm kind of, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, along with this paradox of purpose and purposelessness with living life, big picture, having a direction, but and in the moment as much as possible, just doing away with that. I mean, I don't need that. Just be in the moment and let it spontaneously. You'll have the direction you need. You just know what to do. The universe will tell you what to do. Oh, why don't I do this? It all seems to flow very effortlessly and perfectly, as allegedly Jesus said. What did he say? Look at the lilies of the field. No, not look at things. Regard, watch. What is it? Hmm. Um. regard the lilies of the field. Regard sounds a bit wrong, but okay, whatever. You get the, you could look it up if you want. See the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin, and yet everything is accomplished. Look at the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin, and yet everything is accomplished. So it's like, you know, you can just do all these things without this sense of, oh, I must do this. It just happens, you know, one thing at a time, like nature intended and intends. But then, so there's that kind of paradox, purpose and purposelessness, and then kind of paradox of like good and evil, and like, or doing good things. But I guess the end of, you know, to sum up, basically the gist, I think, is like, you know, yeah, be a good person, and because it feels good and because it's who you are, you really are love, and that is the sane thing to do. It's actually, but then there are many people who are not on that wavelength, and they'll be doing everything from annoying up to pure evil. But to condemn them, I think perhaps is something where I've been making a misunderstanding. Overtly, I haven't been condemning, but perhaps in my heart, I have been condemning them. But I think like we can still communicate and say, don't do that. And, you know, even if like stop people, try, you know, take a gun off someone if they're doing something bad, you know, you can still interfere without that condemnation, and just with an understanding that this is part of the plan of the universe. This is a soul who is identified with, like, it's consciousness that is identified with thoughts or with, you know, certain idea of this is what I'm going to do. And it has lost touch with, or they have lost touch with who they are and who we are, and that we're one, and that they're like one branch on the tree trying to attack another branch. It's like, what are you doing? That's like trying to chop off your arm. Like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, that's not me. You're another branch. Yeah, but look, we're sharing the same trunk. We're the same tree. You know, and like, oh, you're a human being. You're gonna kill another human being. But you realize you're both the same species. You both come from the same ancestors. If you go back far enough, it doesn't have to be that far, and you're both reliant on the same system. If enough, if you know, if ever and all the other humans just sat down, stopped working, you're going to die. You know, and vice versa. So we're also, you know, interdependent, intertwined. And yet we think we're not the same thing. And we're like, yeah, I could kill you. That's fine. It's like you don't realize you're killing yourself, literally. Like the pain that you're creating into the collective psyche of humanity, both through the reactions of loved ones, but then also just purely in the energetic field. That's you are part of that field. You're doing it to yourself. So there's that thing of just like doing the right thing just makes sense, even for selfish reasons. Like selfishness and selflessness come full circle and meet in like wisdom, I guess. Like you kind of understand, like if you were really to do selfishness properly, if you're going to be thorough about it, you would just be loving to everyone, because you'd realize, wait a minute, to help myself, like I am actually everyone. So if I really just want to be totally selfish, I should just be really nice and friendly and kind and be a good person. That's the way to maximize my pleasure. And you get much more than pleasure for that matter, you know, joy you get, which is much greater than pleasure. But apart from the, you know, these reasons of, okay, it feels good, it is the only sane thing to do, etc., alleviating suffering and all that. It is true that like there's a certain place for these in the movie of life, you know, the balance of things. And so I guess when there's people who, for whatever reason, you know, the universe has a bunch of people who, you know, they're not yet evolved enough to, or they've had traumas in their, you know, their own life, or in the life of their family, like in their lineage, or in their culture, which would be, you know, the family of families or whatever. And they've got certain bad juju where they've got these ideas of, you know, us against them, and, you know, unenlightened, kind of confused perspectives where they don't understand that they're, you know, kind of trying to screw over neighboring branches on the same tree. And they're not thinking of like, how can we have a win-win scenario? They're thinking of like win-lose, right? Zero-sum games. And so I think, you know, when you have people doing that, like doing these things that, say, there's people who are doing things I don't like and I think are bad, I guess something I've been thinking about is like just to let this I don't know, I guess I'm still digesting it, but to have faith and remember that it is part of the plan. Not necessarily that this exact thing has been planned, but that overall there is this plan of like the universe wants life to evolve and express itself and grow toward love and homecoming. And that the precise way that that's going to work has not been planned. But overall, there is this thing, okay, you give, you know, the universe kind of explodes in this field of possibility, and then you have all these small little tiny God chops himself up into like, you know, infinite pieces, and then they start conglomerating through it, like evolution or whatever, and you know, things start, eventually God is able to start this advanced enough structures of or organisms where of life, where life or God or love or source, or not source like tomato sauce, you know, but like source is able to express itself and experience itself from the inside out. And that in that process, there's going to be many people who are not quite aware what's happening, and then guilty. And then I guess when people do these things, we can kind of not take it personally. Just kind of say, all right, yeah, this is what's happened, and I can just kind of be here in the moment, just spontaneous, and just, okay, cool, you know, just assure them, hey, no worries, and just kind of see past the problematic expression and experience or whatever, you know, the thing that you think's wrong, and just kind of trust that there is a soul behind there who's, you know, worthy of love and wants love, and it's just not quite there yet. And so you don't need to take it personally. You don't even need to try to be friendly to them or loving to them, like overtly, or even whatever. You can just take whatever action needs to be taken and that you can take, all the while accepting them. Just saying, yeah, hey, by which I mean not resisting them, like not internally going like telling yourself stories of like, oh, this person's a bad person. And just say, no, this person's doing some bad things, but what do you mean by bad person? Do you mean the bad soul? Because they're not a bad soul. Maybe they're a bad person, like they're doing some bad things, but maybe it's clearer to say they're doing bad things. They're not a bad person or a bad soul, you know. They're like, but sometimes it is useful, you know, words are words, right? Words are words, but they're also words. So there's a difference there, you know. So it depends on the context. What, you know, I think sometimes it's useful to say it one way, sometimes it's useful to say it another way. But yeah, so people can do wrong things and we can take whatever action we need to take, but all the while be at peace with them and ideally love them. Understand that it's yourself doing it. Have compassion and try to spread that expression of love, which, you know, I find very hard to do, I guess, when people are being annoying, you know, or evil. Or even sometimes with people being very nice. Sometimes love's hard to connect to, you know. Then other times it's extremely easy. So, you know, but hey, you know, we're doing our best. And so yeah, so that would be some thoughts. Purpose and love and the motivation for, you know, striving to deal with you know, I guess striving to keep your peace, and not even just striving, but just doing it, just being peaceful when bad things, in air quotes, small or large, enter your field. Speaking of purpose and the onslaught of the exterior, it's sweaty in this little where is this? This is like a Grecian little, I don't know, an alcove, a nook or cranny, like a little studio apartment thing. It's like tiny, but it's good fun anyway. So I am gonna finish this. So that were some travel thoughts. And yeah, so the sound quality might be atrocious, but hey, you can feel free to blame yourself for that, because it's not me, it's not personal. If you're judging me, you got to blame yourself. I'm already blaming you for judging me. Oh wait, that would be me. That would be me blaming myself. Ah, it's too tiring, it's too hot. I'm just going to be cool and peaceful. May you be the same. Thanks for tuning in, and stay cool and fresh and hydrated, and may you have the experiences that seem most interesting to you, and that ideally are aligned with truth, wakefulness, and the giddy joy of love. So, all right, talk to you later.